Here we go again, recording survival check. Let me get a drink of water.
How do you spell here?
B-E-H-E-I-R. Wait, B-E-H-I-R. If you spell it wrong, you'll probably get the Scottish Behir, which is kind of related.
Oh, this thing looks amazing.
Behir.
Hello and welcome back to Survival Check, your unofficial guide to the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition Monster Manual. Like always, my name is Zach, and with me tonight, as we attempt to claw our way out of the Behir's stomach, is Shayne and Anderson.
Hello.
Tevis, unfortunately,
The antidote didn't work. We failed our wisdom check. We got to do it again.
We lost him in the digestive tract. We'll get him on the way.
Oh, I was gonna
we'll
just
get
say,
him after.
I was just going to say he got fried by the lightning breath, but that also works.
Oh.
Zap, zip, zapped.
I just
He's
figured.
fine. He's fine, though. Last week he was turned to stone. This week he got fried. It's fine.
Yeah, he'll get there.
Wait, is Tevis the Kenny of our podcast?
Oh my god!
Each week he just is getting killed by the monster.
Oh, no.
He has to re-roll each week. That's what's happening here. So, if you couldn't figure out by the intro, tonight we are talking about the Behir, the slippy, slidey lizard, salamander, centipede, dragon killer that lives in the mountain that can shoot lightning for some reason. I mean, there is a reason, but you know. Yeah. So Behir. I hope I'm saying that right. I think I'm saying it right. But anyway, let's talk about our prior knowledge and our thoughts on the monster before we did research and kind of if we've run into any of them. I have ran them before, but I'd like to hear from you guys first.
I don't think I've used any yet, as all of the campaigns I've ran so far haven't made it past level 5. But I've definitely faced one of them before.
I have never used them myself, but you guys keep saying that I fought one before, but I don't really remember it. So please, I'd love to hear about it.
Do you remember?
Do you want to talk about it?
Do you remember the books that we had to hunt down in Zach's homebrew?
Yes, for the pirates.
No,
before that one.
for the main characters.
Oh, we're going like way back, like Xeno.
No, it was.
I was playing with you.
It was around the time you guys ran into the Warforged in that campaign.
It was before Eberron, like the one right before Eberron,
and not the pirate one.
Not
it was
the
Ashara.
Seppuku Respin. Got it.
Yes.
Yes, it was when your character killed himself a lot. Yes, that one.
Yeah, so we went with the werewolf guy who you loved. I don't know how you can't remember this.
Yeah.
But
can't remember his name.
we went to this cave and Zach's like, all right, roll a stealth check. And everyone rolls pretty well except for me. I rolled a nat 1, so I just shout, "Fight me, beast!" at the entrance of the cave. And that started combat, so.
Yeah,
I remember it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys were like in a dark cave. Inside the cave was like a lost temple that had one of the Eldritch books that you needed. But within this cave, you did fight its guardian, or like the monster that has took over the cave and made it its own, and it was the Behir. I remember that fight because I really liked running the creature because it can move fast. And I remember having different holes within the map where it would like skitter in one and appear on the other side of the map, and it would run. I think it ate 1 or 2 people. It's a cool monster. I like them a lot. They're interesting. I feel like they're kind of not used that much because they're like, in lore wise, they're strange, which we can get into. But yeah, did you guys know about this before? Like I even like running into like. When I ran it, did you guys even have an idea of what a Behir was, or even heard of one before?
No.
Definitely not.
I didn't even know that what we ran was a Behir at the time. I just knew it was a big lizard dude. I didn't know that it was
Yeah.
That was all long before I had breached the realm of DMing and even cracked the seam on the monster manual. So
absolutely.
I was just getting all my information from your luxurious descriptions.
Oh well, thank you. Welcome, Tevis. It seems like our 4th member has clawed his way out of the digestive tract.
The Behir did not enjoy you settling in his stomach.
He fireballed his way out.
Mm-hmm. And I happened to wake up on the way out too.
The Behir lightning bolt or breath. We'll do that. We're just talking about our prior knowledge. Did you know anything about the Behir before?
I know
D&D
you
or
ran it.
Yeah,
That's about it.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Even like when I ran it, like I think it was like a last minute thing where I was like trying to find a guardian for this cave, and I was like just flipping through the monster manual, and I was like, I don't want to run a dragon here because I feel like a dragon would be too noticeable. And it was just like this Behir like fits perfectly. It's this lizard snake thing. It's a monstrosity. It has some magic to it. It has some mystery to it. So I threw it in. It's really cool. I'm surprised I've actually not run one since I ran that because I thought it was a really fun fight to run. But yeah, so with that, let us actually talk about the history of the Behir. So, again, I feel like the only monsters that we've really talked about so far in the Monster Manual, and we're into the Bs now, like mid Bs. The animated objects have seemed to be the only ones that didn't appear in first edition. So far. So the Behir, we have them coming in first edition, not the first Monster Manual. It wasn't until the second Monster Manual that they would appear. And before they appeared in the second Monster Manual, they appeared in an adventure module called The Lost Caverns of... Holy shit, that's a weird word. The Lost Caverns...
A weird name.
It was a weird module. I can't believe they would name it that. But it was The Lost Caverns of Tzogikanth. I am glad that Wizards of the Coast has taken a turn and names things that I can actually say now. But it did appear in an adventure in 1982, very much like the Aboleth appeared in an adventure before it went to the Monster Manual. It was within the caverns. Your party could run into it. The first edition Behir pretty much was very similar to the Behir we have in 5th edition. It was described as a lizard snake. It had a lightning breath. It could eat and constrict. But it wasn't the unknown enemy of dragons in 1st edition. So that's really the big thing in 1st edition that it makes it different. And also had like the face of a crocodile, which also happens in 2nd edition and 3rd edition, is that like the way the creature looks, it looks more like a crocodile previously, and now we have more... Well, how would you describe its current like facial structure compared to like a crocodile?
I would say it looks like I don't know, like a giant snake head, but like with meat, like actual like an actual neck. Right?
Those like horns. Yeah.
That's what I would say. It looks like instead of being a boneless snake, it is a boned snake.
That does make sense. Yeah, I definitely.
It has a skeletal system, but is a snake.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And like I was saying, like earlier editions, they looked more like crocodiles. So in the current edition, we get a more snake-like Behir. The history for this creature is pretty simple compared to other monsters we've covered. It doesn't really change much. So we have it appear in 1st edition in the Lost Caverns. That appears in the 2nd Monster Manual. It also has a Dragon Magazine article about it in Dragon Magazine 156, where they talk about jungle and desert Behirs. So just adding some variety to this creature, saying that maybe it's not always in a cave, maybe it's like creeping along the jungle floor, or maybe it is like burrowed into the deserts, which is really cool and interesting, really putting a spin on like what these kind of creatures can be. Then we go to 2nd edition. They appear, and they're pretty much the same again, except 2nd edition is the first time we see them with flavor text that says they are enemies of dragons. They have a hatred for dragons. It's like built into them that if they find a cave and find a home and there's like a dragon within a couple miles of them, they will fight it unless it is like a dragon that will kick its ass, and then they'll just leave. But these creatures, these monstrosities, these beasts, these Behir have a very giant, like very big hatred, very intense hatred of dragons, and that really isn't revealed why until 5th edition. So 2nd edition, we get their mana dragons. Then in 3rd edition and 3.5, they come back. They pretty much remain the same. There is an addition in 3rd edition where you get the Hell Ruin Behir, which was first appeared on like the Wizards of the Coast website. They were kind of using the website. It was early 2000s, so they're like, hey, look, we have a website now. You can check out monsters here. Trying to get that out. The Hell Ruin Behir was it was a smaller version of the Behir, lower CR. I didn't have the magical lightning breath, but it was like, hey, if you don't want to run this really giant monster, here's some like small alternatives. That's about it. Still keeping the lore the same, all its movements the same. Then we actually 3.5 stays the same, but in 3rd edition, not in like a monster manual or a core book, we have a half-fiend Behir appear in the Red Hand of Doom, and the Red Hand of Doom is an adventure. It's pretty famous. I haven't run it before, but it deals with Tiamat and kind of like the hells and the abyss and stuff. And in that, there is a half-fiend Behir that was kind of like a fan favorite, which sounds really cool, like in a fiendish Behir.
Yeah,
That's cool. That's a really nice. That's a cool twist on it. And it served Tiamat, which is very interesting, seeing that Tiamat, 5-headed dragon.
Yeah, not just one thing that it hates, but 5 of them.
Exactly. Like you'd think like a Behir, so like the half fiend. I really want to check out the Red Hand of Doom because it seems interesting. And when I was reading about it, like a bunch of people put it in like the top 10 adventure modules of all time in Dungeons and Dragons. So it seems cool. Oh. I mean, the Red Hand of Doom also sounds like is a super cool name. Yeah. And then we get 4th edition. They pop up in the Monster Manual 2. Still, they hate dragons. Unfortunately, like, unlike the other monsters we've covered, like, 4th edition doesn't give us any cool, like, Behirs. Like, there's no, like, flying Behirs or, like, aquatic Behirs or, like, variety, like a lot of the other creatures we've seen in 4th edition. So it just... Yeah, damn, indeed. So then 4th edition, we go 5th edition. And they relatively stay the same, except their lore changes for the first time. And they still hate dragons, but if you look at page 25, you'll see under Foes of the Dragons, it now says, Storm Giants created the first Behirs as weapons against the dragons, and Behirs retain a natural hatred for dragonkind. So it's really the first time that I could find, maybe there was like other adventures or something that popped up in earlier editions. It was really the first time where we have an answer why Behirs hate dragons so much. And it is because the Storm Giants created them long ago. And if those who don't know the history of the giants and the dragons in D&D lore, long time ago, very far in the past, the Forgotten Realms, even like Eberron has a dragon giant war in it. It's very easy to find canonical wars between giants and dragons in pretty much any setting. So these things were created as weapons by the giants to fight the dragons. I even heard someone describe it on a YouTube video, which I'm forgetting who, as like Behirs were almost created as like lightning artillery to take out the dragons out of the sky, which the lightning breath only has 20 feet, so I mean maybe not, but it's cool. I think it's an interesting twist on the creature. Is like these aren't just creatures that are born and hate dragons, they were actually created to fight and destroy and like as weapons against the dragons. Yeah.
Was the breath range any longer in previous editions?
I don't know. That is something I probably should have looked at. I think in 1st edition it was a little bit longer. I'm guessing it was. I feel like 20 feet is kind of short for it. I'm guessing it was a little bit longer. One other thing I forgot to mention. In 5th edition they speak Draconic. In 3rd edition they spoke Common and Draconic.
So they don't speak Common.
So it's Wizards of the Coast taking Common away from the monster again. Which,
I mean, bring Common back.
Exactly. Hashtag
Common 2020.
Hashtag no talky, more fighty.
No, it's more talky, less fighty. If we want Common back.
Yeah, well, some of us
no. Oh, fair.
Hashtag less talky, more fighty.
All right, you heard him. So we're now 5th edition Behir. So this, like I said, page 25. You get this cool little flavor text by Ludd. Ludd. It's like LLUDD, the Behir, confronting adventurers in the lost caverns of. Oh wait, I just realized that. Okay, that's a cool Easter egg. That I'm gonna geek out a little bit, but the flavor text, the lost caverns of that word I can't say, is the first adventure they ever appeared in.
Oh,
That's where the lost caverns is. That is the first adventure they ever appear in. So that's cool. That's really cool, actually.
Sajkanth.
nice little homage.
Sajkanth? Oh, that's probably right. Yeah, that's Sajkanth. Yeah. So in the first thing on this page, you see the flavor text. It says, I've already eaten 3 giant bats, 6 troglodytes, and a mind flare today, but that's okay. Plenty of room in my belly for you and your friends. So I don't know why I feel like they sound sophisticated. They probably aren't. It's not really that high.
That's so much more terrifying, though. He's like it sounds like a butler, right? You're like, oh yeah, you
Yes.
cater to us. Like, oh, I will definitely cater you to my stomach.
Exactly. So, and according to the stat block, that's not uncommon. So it's speaking in Draconic when it says that.
Well,
but yes.
that? I'm sorry. Was that adventure in a previous edition when that could speak common?
In first edition, let me see. I actually have the first edition monster manual right here. Does it not say? Let me see. Also, look up the first edition Behir artwork. It's super cool looking. It doesn't say. So maybe it could. Maybe you just. But yeah, I definitely recommend looking up the first edition art though for the Behir. It looks more draconic in that picture.
It looks like kind of looks like what Gyarados would look like if it was real.
Ooh, yes. I completely agree with that. Oh, okay. So I did forget something that isn't really like history-wise notable, but it's something that we've talked about before, where like the older editions give you a little bit more how to use these creatures or what can come out of them. In 3rd edition, it actually talks about how Behir horns in Behir talons can be used to create lightning bolt scrolls. So like if you grind up their horns and make it a die, you can actually inscribe lightning bolts scrolls.
That's crazy.
Right? I like those throwaway lines put in there. That's cool. Like I would have never thought like that's a really cool idea. Like how are they making these scrolls? Like, oh, they killed a Behir, they take the horns, they like did this magic transformation, and they created the scroll through that way. Yeah, so I just thought that was a cool thing to note.
That is very cool.
But back to the 5th edition. So we start with that flavor text. Then it goes into the actual text of the monster. It says, the serpentine Behir crawls along floors and clambers up walls to reach its prey. Its lightning breath can incinerate most creatures, even as more powerful foes are constricted in its schools and eaten alive. So it like if you look at the picture, it makes sense. This thing is a cave dweller. It moves really quick. It tries to eat things. I mean, even in that flavor text we get, it talks about having plenty of room in its belly. The next part of that just talks about like how they're usually blue in color, pale blue on the underside. Then we have cavern predators. So this pretty much just says that they like harrowing, like they like tops of mountains or caverns or like places that are kind of out of reach from society. They really like to be by themselves, but they also like to hunt, so they'll use the caverns and like the twisting tunnels of a mountain as places to set up ambushes. They really know their area that they live in to help them hunt and feed. But there is this one line in this that pops up actually in every edition, which reads, when not climbing, it moves even faster by folding its legs beside its body and slithering like a snake.
It moves faster that way?
Yeah. Yep. So that appears
Okay.
in every single edition. Is that they just like put their legs up and then they just start slithering like a snake.
What's the
Which
point
is-
of legs?
To climb. That's it. That's it. Pretty much is to
Jeez.
climb. But I think that's really funny. Just like putting legs up and just slithering like a snake. That's cool. They swallow their prey whole, so they're like snakes in that sense. And then the last part is the foes of the dragons, and this is the part where 5th edition adds on that not only are they mad at dragons, they're mad at dragons is because they have been created by the giants long ago to destroy the dragons. So they're bred, created. There's even some debate online that because the Behirs have like the horns and look pretty draconic, that possibly the giants bred like blue dragons and turn them into Behirs somehow, either through magic or something like that, because they do have the lightning breath like blue dragons and all that type of stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much the lore of the Behir. They're snake lizards with lightning powers. They hate dragons. They're usually chilling in caves. They're big, so they're considered huge, which is actually, I think the Behir is much smaller than it first appeared, because in 1st edition it said it had a length of 40 feet, but if it's huge, that means probably like 15 to 20. So it's a little bit smaller. I mean, it's still big. It can still eat anyone in your party whole. Absolutely. Yep. And yeah. The last thing is, does this thing have real world origins? And the answer is yes. It comes from, we're returning back to Europe, and the Behir actually has origins in Scotland. It is called Behir there, and it is Scottish Gaelic. It is pretty much described as a serpent or lightning or thunderbolt or like a thunder or lightning serpent. Some people consider them dragons, some don't, but if you look up images of the Behir, it looks very similar to the Behir we got. There's definitely a 1-to-1. That's definitely where they got it from. It is this serpent or dragon that was like in the hills of Scotland or off the coast that had the ability to make like thunderous noises or use lightning. But it also took the shape of a snake and like other lizards. So this was another thing, which is interesting. This is the second creature we've had in the bees that come from. Actually, this is all 3 creatures from the bees so far have all had real world origins. The banshees from Ireland. The basilisk is from Greece, and the Behir is from Scotland.
Taking my way around the world.
I don't think the Beholder is from personal lore next week, but that's kind of cool. I like that. I like when they kind of put their own twist on known myths, known creatures from around the world that people cultures tell.
When they pull from the real world lore.
Yeah, so that's cool. So we have one from Ireland, one from Scotland, and like one from Eastern Europe. Yeah. So let's talk about this thing's stat block. Let's talk about what makes it stand out, what makes it cool in combat, what makes it not that great in combat, all that fun stuff. What do you guys, when looking at the stat block, what first do you see? What really pops out to you that would make you want to use this creature?
So fast.
They are so fast.
They are so fast, and they have a multi-attack. So, like, for me, I mean, y'all just played D&D with me yesterday. I'm a monk. I like to get in and get out.
That is true.
They're pretty cool for ambushing and like just running up on someone full speed. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. So the basilisk has 8 legs and is slow as hell. The Behir has 10 legs and is fast. So it just proves the point. Basilisks are lazy.
Further driving that home.
Yeah.
A different culture, okay? It's not laziness, okay?
Well, I mean, I guess when you can turn your prey into stone, you can be a little bit
slower.
But yeah, that's the first thing I noticed too, is 50 feet normal speed, 40 feet climb. That's pretty fast for a big thing. It's
They're
huge.
very strong.
It's gonna zip through that cavern when you're fighting it, weaving in and out of everything.
Cool.
It is also kind of stealthy for its size. It has a +7 in stealth for being such a big creature. That's
Is
not
this-
that's
It knows how to move.
yeah.
Is this the highest CR we've covered?
I think so. This thing is a big one.
No,
I think the average
Oh,
is either
the
10 or 11.
Yeah.
angel?
Oh, solar. The solar.
Oh,
Yeah, the angels. Yeah.
Yeah, the solar was
This
the
thing-
highest.
I was just gonna say, like, this thing is pretty strong, but then I remembered it was a CR11, so you know.
Yeah, it's like the equivalent to like a dragon.
Yeah. What really stands out to me is its senses. It's got dark vision of 90 feet, which is like well beyond the scopes of normal dark vision. And then also it's got a passive perception of 16, which is pretty fucking high. Because a lot of
Yeah.
monsters don't have passive perception even written. Right? So
Yeah.
they just have that base, what is it, 8? They don't
Yeah.
they're fucking paying attention ever. But this Behir though, like ain't nothing getting by it.
Yeah, I'm looking back at the previous 2 pages. The Basilisk had passive perception 9, Banshee had 10, Azir had 11. So, yeah, this thing definitely, and I think that really plays on the fact that these things are usually in their lair or in their cave. So they probably know when things are amiss or things are a little bit different.
Predatory.
They are predators. They prey on whatever comes. Yeah, the languages they speak Draconic, which I wish they no common, just Draconic, which goes back to their hatred, and also if the giants created them, then maybe they made them speak Draconic, just so they could. Actually, I don't know how would that
from their origins, right? Like,
right?
It looks like a blue dragon, like it really does.
Yeah.
Right, so maybe there was like some crossbreeding with basilisks or some other large serpent, like, or maybe something with the Wanti. You know, who knows?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think that really does play into the idea that people argue that they are some like type of bred dragon because they do speak Draconic. Because like, why the giants know Draconic?
Right.
They are neutral evil, which is the first time that pops up in the first 4 editions. Also, they're neutral in all those. So this is the first time the Behir is actually evil. Which
I wonder why. What reasons would it make it evil?
I actually think it should stay neutral. It just seems like it's doing what it was made. Like, it's a beast. It's trying to survive. It's not tormenting the town.
Yeah, as soon as you put evil in, you always think like it's plotting something.
Like, what is it? What are its motives?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I feel like again, alignment is
motive
weird.
Is because it's probably because it innately wants to bring down the dragons in any way, shape, or form.
There
Yeah,
are
that's fair.
evil dragons.
There is a lot of evil dragons. Yeah.
Mhm.
That maybe it is the hatred. Maybe it is like they are a creature filled with hate that makes them evil. That very much could.
And I'm sure their
be-
motives aren't exactly pure for taking down the dragons, you know? Like at this point,
Right.
how long has it been? At this point, you're just holding a grudge. Let it go.
Well, if they were made for it, like
They've materialized that grudge into the evil that lives inside them.
Yeah. They have a perception of 6, so even with a wisdom of +2, like their passive perception's good. They can really perceive their surroundings pretty well. They are immune to lightning, which I think goes back to either their blue dragon origins, or the storm giants created them. So it makes sense that they have lightning abilities. If the storm giants created them, they're storm giants.
Yeah.
And then, we go down to their actions. So they have a multi-attack, like Shayne said. The Behir can make 2 attacks, one with its bite and one to constrict. So your bite is just has a reach of 10, plus 10 to hit, blah, blah, blah. Does a decent amount of damage. But the constrict is when things get interesting. And side note, how if I was running the Behir, this is how I would always constrict then bite. That is what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Just to get a swallow effect.
Yeah.
It might say
Yeah.
bite and then constrict, but that's just like BS that they do it alphabetical. But like you constrict, which is a +10 to hit. It does bludgeoning and slashing damage, and the target is grappled. But when the Behir has a creature of large or smaller constricted, it can make a bite attack. And if it passes and makes that bite attack, it swallows the creature, which makes the creature blinded and restrained, and it takes 66 acid damage at the start of each of the Behir's
Whoa.
turn. It does say only one person.
I can't believe I survived.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, you got eaten. Behir can only eat one creature at a time. But it does have this cool thing at the end of Swallow that says, if the Behir takes 30 damage or more on a single turn from a swallowed creature, the Behir must succeed on a DC 14 con saving throw, or pretty much just puke up the person.
That's pretty sick.
I like that.
I love it.
Yeah,
Would you,
so that's cool.
as a DM, give vulnerabilities for attacking inside of the creature?
I don't think I would,
No.
because these creatures like swallow things whole. They probably have like a pretty tough inside.
Yeah, but what if someone
Interior.
like fireballed themselves?
I mean, I fireballed up myself in the middle of a purple.
I
one
remember
before.
that. That was.
I've done that
Such a
before,
great
not in a
memory.
Behir, but it was in a purple. It was in a giant worm. I don't think
Wow.
I would. I mean, I'd either have the Behir auto. The Behir would probably auto fail that saving throw at least on my end. Like you can't dodge a fireball that's going off in your stomach. But I don't think I'd give it vulnerability.
Fair.
And then really, other than its bite, its constrict. Like this thing does a lot of damage. So like, let's say you constrict someone +10 to hit. That's probably going to hit most of the time. That's 4d10 + 12 if you add the bludgeoning and slashing damage together. Then if you, on the same turn, you make the bite attack, that's another 3d10 + 6. And if that bite goes through, they are swallowed, and that character is taking another 6d6 at the start of the Behir's next turn. So that's a lot of damage. Like, in one turn.
Yeah.
And then the last thing on the actions page is the Behir's ability to breathe lightning. It has a lightning breath with a recharge of 5 to 6. It's only 20 feet long, so it's not like as large as the other breaths or line attacks that other creatures have. But it has a DC 16 Dex saving throw, which is mildly high. And it does 12d10 lightning damage, and half if you succeed. That's a decent amount of damage there too.
A lot of damage.
It really is. The average is 66. So even CR11, your party, that could take out some of your, like, if that could take, probably not completely take out some party members. Well, I guess really depends when your party's running into it. Maybe your wizard goes down. But yeah, anything else you guys see on this stat block that really just either makes them weak or anything that you could like exploit or anything like that?
Their intelligence. They're not super smart.
No, yeah,
You could probably out-trick them somehow.
That is true.
They're not smart, but they're wise. That seems manipulatable. Like, couple those two things coupled together.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
like diplomacy doesn't exactly seem out of the question if you're rolling up in the right circumstances.
Yeah, I would agree. Like their intelligence is definitely something you could, especially because these creatures you can actually talk to. If you have a dragonborn in your party, or you do have someone who can speak Draconic. I like characters who can like speak Draconic. Yeah, so like you can talk to it.
Digesting, perhaps, you know.
Ooh, which I just thought, if a dragonborn approaches a Behir,
Ooh.
does it have a hatred towards the dragonborn?
I would say no, because they're not the same thing.
If the dragonborn,
but they have dragon features, and Behir aren't that intelligent.
depends on like the lore of your dragonborn in your world.
I would say that the Behir themselves look like dragons.
Yeah, they all
That's fair.
descended from
If,
dragons.
if the Dragonborn knew anything about Behir, do you think it could use that to its advantage? Be like, no, they manipulated me too. I was once
I
a
mean,
man.
definitely
Now
could.
I am this.
That's funny. No, but personally, if I would run it, I would say no. And not only that, like a Behir hates a dragon. You know, what is dragons? They're big, and I mean like big. A dragonborn to a Behir looks like a wormling. You know.
I would argue because these things are neutral evil that they wouldn't care.
Yeah.
That's a good
It's-
point.
And they're not intelligent.
They're not intelligence and they're evil. They have a hatred that is baked into them. And it's speaking Draconic. It is speaking the language of their enemies.
If it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck.
But yeah, this is that is a point that you can really like. It really depends on the setting, or like how you want to play that. I probably would run that. They would probably have a little bit more of a bias towards Dragonborns, just because of their how they were created. Because it says, and Behirs retain a natural hatred for dragon kind. So that could include Dragonborn in it. But yeah, other than that, their ability scores they're pretty strong. They have decent dex, good con, and they're kind of charismatic, which is kind of cool. And they're wise, but they're not intelligent. So, that being the stat block, let's move on to the last part of this episode and talk about how we'd use them on our game. For those who are new here, part 3, we talk about social, exploration, and combat, the 3 pillars of Dungeons and Dragons, and how we would use these creatures either for social encounters, exploration encounters, combat encounters, and then we round off the episode with how we put our own spin on this creature, and then we end. So let's do that. How would you guys use this creature as them in adventure or a story, or as like some kind of social pillar in your campaign? Like, how would you use them instead of like a straight fight with a Behir? How could you use them to?
Hear me out here. There's a small town on the side of a cliffside butte, maybe, or like know, Dover style thing near a large lake. They call it a loch there.
Oh my god!
And in that loch, there is a large sea monster that haunts the nearby town and stops the swimming from happening. It's killed some fishermen. Not like the real Loch Ness monster that's like stealthy. This Loch Ness monster is like active and terrorizing nearby towns and things of that nature. So maybe we do social first, right?
Yes, social.
Yeah. So maybe the social encounter isn't necessarily with the Behir, but like with the townspeople and this mystery. Maybe it hasn't been active in a while, so they have to like put together the pieces of this sort of tall tale that's being spun.
The quest giver, some crazy conspiracy nut.
Yeah.
Talking about the Loch Ness monster, the Behir.
The Behir.
Yeah, I like that.
And then at the end, all you find out that all the Behir wanted was Tree Fitty.
Absolutely. I like that. That's a cool. That's a good way of using them. Especially their origins being from Scotland. So
Yeah,
I like pulling that together.
I latch on to stuff like that. The real world.
I mean, absolutely.
Every time.
So what I'm imagining for a social encounter with this creature is, and I kind of keep going. I've been going back to this for these past few monsters, but I know that it's got low intelligence.
Yeah.
But we've let's be honest, everyone. We've all played a character with 7 or 6 intelligence. Like, it's happened. They can function.
Yeah.
They have enough.
I actually never have.
Really? All right, you guys aren't playing D&D.
Charisma's my throwaway.
Zach is Galaxy Brand. That's all he ever plays.
I play fucking warlocks and sorcerers and paladins.
All right, so there have been players that are known to use int as a dump stat because it's just how they like to play. I am every now and then one of those players, right? I like making really dumb barbarians every now and then. I think it's fun. But don't make those faces at me, Shanye. All right? But with that in mind, are you going to tell a player character that they can't play the game because they have a 7 intelligence because they wouldn't be smart enough to be a player character? Absolutely not.
No.
So
No.
why wouldn't a Behir with 7 intelligence be able to be like a sentient creature? It has high wisdom. It just can't do math.
Right.
So,
Right.
with that in mind, I think these guys would be the coolest fucking gatekeepers for a city of storm giants.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
mean, like,
as
I'm
minions.
talking like mountains, like mountain ranges, the spine of the world in Faerun, just running all the way across the top. You got mountains that are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet high, and you have 2 Behirs standing at the bottom of them, just hanging out, right, with this incredibly ornate design up the wall of the mountain. And if you want to get to these cities, you have to pay services to these Behirs or do something to get entrance, but they'll take
Yeah,
you up,
for sure.
or they'll fucking eat you.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's awesome. That's definitely cool. Because they definitely like the storm giants definitely would still have a connection with them. You could definitely do that, and they definitely have sentience. Like 7, it's just not like they're not the most intelligent creature.
Yeah.
Like it's the highest of the beasts if you're considering this thing a beast, which is a monstrosity. 7 is still high. I don't think you would run them like that. I think their intelligence is more based off like their probably hatred and their ability to be a beast. And hunt and feed and all that stuff. But they are intelligence for a beast. They're just not intelligence like if we're talking average. I think you could use these creatures as possibly like maybe the party is going after a dragon or something, and maybe this dragon's been around for a long time and has its scars and stuff, and it's like maybe like the wizard or whatever quest giver is like, all right, this dragon is returned and is tormenting the town. Long ago, a creature was able to hurt this dragon and was able to exploit its weaknesses. We lost the text to it, but go find this Behir. Try to convince it to let you know how you can fight this dragon. Because, I mean, if you want to go to someone who can... something created to fight dragons, to get information on how to fight dragons, go to the Behir. It's not going to give you, like, the most grand... like the biggest grand plan, but like that's what they were created for. If you can somehow get on its good side, these are neutral evil. You might have to offer it something. If it does have the draconic pass, you can offer it loot because they could be like hoarding treasure like dragons. But you could use them in a social encounter that way, is getting information on how to fight dragons from them.
What would you give a Behir to satisfy it?
I
Maybe
think,
like it has a favorite food.
yeah, maybe like you could bring it like a cow or something, or like it does eat things whole, like maybe some giant giant creature. If you are going off the idea that it is has draconic bloodlines, then it might have a sliver of that need to hoard stuff and need like for shiny stuff. So you could always try to like offer it maybe like a large pile of gold or some other treasure.
Just bring them livestock and 500 gold. Easy.
Yeah. Or hell, or maybe the Behir doesn't know the dragon's back, and you tell the dragon's back, and you're like, help us fight it. And that's one way to convince it too, because of its hatred.
You can help me. Get out of my way. And he just goes and does it himself.
Exactly. Like, they're cool. They do speak Draconic, so they do speak. Yeah, I think you could
that
definitely
would
use
make
them.
a really cool character backstory to be like some kind of like be a ranger with your favorite monster type being dragons, and like you go the monster hunter like conclave, and like your backstory is you were literally like raised by a Behir, and it's just like, yo, fuck dragons, am I right? And you're like, God,
Yeah.
you're right, and like that's
That'd
your
be
whole
awesome.
character.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is a lot there's a lot of even though these things are neutral evil, there's a lot of ways you could like find help in a Behir or ally yourself in a Behir. But you could also flip that switch. Maybe you're working for a dragon, and you have to try to find a Behir, and you have to go talk to a dragon. So it's kind of like you could flip that too. Like if you did find a dragon, or maybe there's like maybe if we're talking social still, maybe there's like a gold dragon, which is inherently good, and it is being tormented by a Behir, and like you have to use the dragon as a quest giver to like help it from being attacked by Behirs or something, like being raided by Behirs as trove or anything like that. So it's cool. I like this because it's one of the few monsters that can actually be used in like a social encounter as a quest giver or like an ally or anything. Like you can't do it with a banshee. You can't do that with. I mean, you could do that with a banshee. You could do it with a banshee.
Fighting couple. You know that fighting couple.
Yeah, the fighting
idea?
couple. Yeah. And like the Aarakocra and stuff. But like the Behir, you could definitely use in like a dragon centric story or even anything like that. Anyone have anything else to say about the social aspect of these creatures? Okay,
No.
let's move on to exploration. So we have already talked about caverns and caves and mountains and stuff. What other landscapes might the monster be found? I like the idea of the jungle and desert Behir that we saw in Dragon Magazine in the first edition, kind of putting them in different landscapes.
I like just pulling. I executive decision. I'm doing what every other 4th edition has done for this creature. Just implement all cool things. Give it wings, give it gills, make it in fire, make it in water or ice or the desert. It's super.
Fire Behir.
It doesn't say that it has any sort of geographical restrictions.
No,
I mean, it does say that they're cave dwellers, but I mean, like, you could play with that anywhere if you wanted to. Put a cave under the desert. You know, put a cave underwater. I like the idea of this sort of in that, like, Godzilla monument under the water type of situation, where you go there and maybe you're looking for some specific artifact, but instead, you find this thing.
I think, I think going off of that too, is you can really take that climb speed they have and switch it out with stuff. So, like, let's say you want to have an aquatic Behir, you just make that 40 climb, 40 swim.
Mm-hmm. Or flying.
Or flying, yeah. Anything like that you could definitely do that, especially if these things are created by storm giants, and possibly bred from blue dragons. What if like the giants also were trying to breed other dragons into some type of killing machines?
Like of other types of giants trying to use other types of dragons, like
hail giants.
Like maybe a rock Behir that's more like a sandworm or like a rock worm or something, and then like a fire Behir that is very fire based, and they could fit in different planes too. Like the fiend Behir, that seems still applicable.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could make like a secret lab, you know, like underground, and then like maybe one of the labs they're experimenting on different types of Behirs. You know, you see have all these tubes. You see all these dead Behirs that they have tested on, you know, all sorts of crazy shit.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think, for exploration, they can really be found anywhere. And I mean, the earlier editions showed that by giving us the jungle and the desert Behir, is that the dragon and giant war was pretty much fought everywhere. It was like a whole world enveloping war. So makes sense the Behirs could pretty much be anywhere in ruins under the water, in old ruins of cities, on giant ruins. Maybe there's a Behir that is like in a city, like a storm giant city that was destroyed in the giant dragon war, and your party has to go there to get like an artifact, but maybe they find a slumbering Behir that has been slumbering for eternity or like a very long time, and you could use like the city, and you could like have a fight in there. It could like be running through the buildings, destroying it. I think these creatures really can fit in. You can make them fit into pretty much anywhere. A Behir going in like an urban environment would be crazy. It would be like someone let the Behir go, and it's just like running through a populated city.
Just slamming through alleys.
Yeah.
At like speed, just blasting windows out, crushing doors in. Oh my goodness, that would be so terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. This is like a kaiju in a way.
Yeah. That's how it feels in my mind.
Yeah.
this giant snake dragon monster, a boned snake, just slamming through the city.
Absolutely. And if you are running a more like giant, like let's say you're running like a homebrew or something, or like the pirate campaign I was running was really about like the giants of yore and their giant gods and their magic and stuff. If you were like playing a campaign more centered on possibly the giant dragon war or just giant lore in general, like Eberron's, the giants fought the elves and the dragons long ago, and they had Zendrick, which is supposed to be lost with it's supposedly said that a lot of giant magic was lost, and there's even some settings where giant was like the origin of magic. It's like the giant language is the origin of the magic. So if you really were like playing a campaign centered on the giants and their history, you could really use the fantastical locations of old giant ruins or giant cities or these old ruins, and the Behir would fit in there excellently. So if you wanted to do something more fantastical like that, you absolutely could.
Mm-hmm.
You could also put them in like some of the outer planes. You could, I want to say the Eberron plane I'm thinking of is Stellanis, where it's pretty much the Jurassic Park plane of Eberron. Like you could put a Behir here, but make it gargantuan. Yeah.
Yeah, very versatile.
Yeah. Anything else on exploration?
Yeah, if you were to have a Behir in water, do you think it would swim like a snake slithers, or would corkscrew through the water?
I think it would swim like a snake.
I think if it was going to be in the water, if we made a water Behir, I would probably like make it less of a snake, but more like an electric eel.
Very fast, though.
Kind of like, they like wiggle swim. Or it could slither. I don't know. I think that's a really interesting question. I don't know.
Be like a barracuda, right?
Ooh.
Like quick bursts of speed, sort of like in a straight line with a little bit of movement. Kind of like keep it tight,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, let's talk combat. We kind of talked about how they would fight, how you should use your constrict than your bite. I think they would definitely use their speed. Mm-hmm. They would definitely hit and run. They have a lot of health. They have a decent AC too. We didn't talk about, so they can take hits.
Yeah.
I think most of the times there's like a single Behir in the area, but you could definitely somehow run. Maybe two Behirs were created at the same time to fight the dragons, and there was like a two Behir battle, and maybe they were in sync because they are these weapons and could like definitely like weave over each other in and out.
Maybe like the Behir, if like the party's in a cavern, they get hunted one by one, like
oh yeah.
like a Behir comes in. You start your combat. Everyone gets opportunities, attacks of opportunity.
Yeah.
But like it tries to constrict and then bite and then run away.
It just swallows people and runs. I like that. I like that a lot.
I actually really like that idea. Like imagine like you guys are going through a cave, right? And the DM just asks, "What's everyone's passive perception?" And
heart rate
you got like
immediately
12, 15, like, "Oh, I got a 17," but a couple like really low ones. And this Behir's stealth with its +7 rolled like a 19. She's like, "Okay, I need everyone to roll initiative." And it's like, why? It's like, you don't know. I need you to roll initiative. And then it like strikes from like caverns and tunnels in the middle of the cave, right?
Yeah.
And like you would like basically word it to where like if someone were to get struck by this thing, you would like message them or something on the side on its turn, and then just be like, "Okay, you need to look at your phone. So and so's turns up."
Mm-hmm. I like that too, and I also like the idea because I remember in the fight I ran, it was dark in that cavern, and I don't think a lot of people in that party had dark vision.
Did not.
So it was also the idea of the darkness too. The Behir could use because it has dark vision, But I also like this is more thematic. Like when the Behir appears, I feel like it like appears with like crackling lightning out of its
Yeah.
mouth. So you're just like darkness and then just like crackling eyes and a mouth of lightning, and then it's
Yeah.
huge and then just disappears.
Spooky.
Yeah. I think the lightning breath is more of a defensive thing.
Yeah.
It's so short.
Mhm.
I mean, it's 20 feet isn't that short, but I mean, the Behir could line up too, but I think like what Tevis said, it's gonna be just grabbing people and running, eating them, just gonna eat your party. That's what its goal is.
Yeah. Do you know what I think was probably the functionality of a Behir as a giant made creature to fight dragons?
Yeah.
I don't think the breath weapon would really be used as artillery. I think the idea of them was to not let a dragon leave the ground. So
Yeah, that makes
the
sense.
giants could keep at it, right? So I guess the one advantage that dragons have over giants is just their, flight. So if
Yeah.
something like that constricts them, like it's a huge creature, it could probably wrap around a dragon, and like if it does take up in the air, like lightning breath through one of the wings.
Absolutely. I mean, I completely agree with that. Absolutely, 100%. Because it said it can constrict large or smaller, so it's not gonna be able to like constrict like a gargantuan, ancient dragon or something. But like, there's not too many of those, so it could definitely constrict like an adult. I'm pretty sure. I think adults are large, or even younger dragons. But I think you're completely right. It kind of like wraps around the dragon, prevents it from flying, and then if it does, you lightning blast it. Just they wouldn't be that efficient with the lightning blasting against blue dragons. But other than that, yeah. So let's take what we were talking about and how would we put our own spins? How would we make these creatures our own? We've talked about how they would fight in caves, how they could be found in different giant terrain, how you could use them as the Loch Ness Monster. But how would you use these creatures and put your own like twist on them and put them into your campaigns?
I already said it, I know, but I just think they're super versatile, so I would just probably remove their climbing speed and replace it with something a little more fun and applicable to the situation, like swimming or flying or something like that.
Yeah.
Put them somewhere cool, and it seems a little out there, but I love the idea of some kind of cult that hates dragons using these things as mounts.
Oh, absolutely! Like anti-dragon fighters. I think
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And
That's a super cool idea.
yeah, I think that'd be great. Somehow we've landed on using the thing as a mount for a couple of the last talks.
Well, I remember we did not with the Banshee, but
No.
the Basilisk for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up like a chariot style Behir, but I was like, I talked about that last week.
Yeah. I mean, you could fit an entire party on the Behir.
Yeah.
You go to the Behir, it's like, let's go kill that dragon. The Behir's like, all right, get on. And it just slithers its way towards the dragon with everyone on its back.
Yeah, if you gave it gills and you needed to do like a cool underwater mission, maybe it would just like offer a little bit of its blood or something to the party, and it's like, if you drink this, you can breathe underwater for an hour. And
Cool.
they can go on a cool underwater Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace style adventure where there's like a giant sea monster that comes after them.
Well, segue, talking about sea creatures, which I do like that. I like that because it goes back to like 3rd edition where you could use the horns to make lightning scrolls of lightning strike and lightning bolt and stuff.
That would implement as well.
If you were running like a more nautical themed campaign or like a Viking themed or pirate themed campaign, you could go and like change the climb speed to swim speed, and the Behir could be one of those like legendary sea serpents.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the sea serpents in lore could have like the ability of like storms and lightning and stuff. So this could like wrap around your ship. It could be like spraying lightning. It could come with like a storm. You could make it bigger and even make it more of a legendary fight. But you could really like use it as like a Nordic or a more Scottish, Irish, Gaelic type of sea serpent that is wrecking the coasts and the oceans and stuff. And you have to go fight it in that way.
Mm-hmm.
You could also maybe the Giants are trying to make a copy of Tiamat, and it's a 5-headed Behir.
Oh, that would be really cool.
Right? Like, you're like, oh yeah, we have Tiamat, we have a 500 Behir. And it's just
Here, Matt.
Yeah, Tiamat. But that'd be cool. I mean, I think we talked about it a little bit earlier, but like, the Giants were definitely probably trying to experiment with other types of Behir and stuff, and other type of creatures that could use to fight the dragons. So this would definitely be the time to pull out your Abyssal Behir or your Fire Behir. Maybe a Fire Behir is like in a volcano. Yeah, I think that'd be cool. I like them. I like them. They're another interesting monster. So far, like we've said, the bees have been hits. Each of the bee monsters have been like so unique.
They slap.
They slap.
The bees
they really do.
slap.
The bees, they really do. Like you can do so much. They're like none of them are like very basic. They each have their own cool little twist on them. They're all just really unique creatures. Anything else? Anyone have anything else? How you change these things or put your own spin on them?
Imagine a bunch of Behirs pulling a boat.
That would be so cool. I agree.
A giant boat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so with that being said, this was the episode on the Behir, which absolutely fantastic, fabulous. I love this creature. I definitely want to find more ways to run it. I think it fits in pretty much any setting too. If you're doing like modern fantasy, you could have it like in the sewers. Traditional fantasy perfectly fits in there. Dystopian fantasy, low magic. It's cool. It's a cool creature. All right, so let us get out of here. So let's do some plugs. And actually, I'm doing this wrong. So let's introduce the next week's topic. Does someone else want to do it, or do you want me to do it? This is exciting. This is the next. The next is going to be it's going to be a mega episode, and it's going to come out on Halloween.
I want you to do it.
Surprise. All right. Prize you? Okay. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, being released in Halloween 2020, it is the biggest hits. It is the most notable creature almost. It is on the front of the Monster Manual. We will be talking about the Beholders of Dungeons and Dragons. We will be talking about the crazy-eyed fears of pure madness. And it's being released on Halloween, which I'm so excited. So next week, Beholder, Death Tyrant, and the Spectator. I'm excited. Beholders are cool. I mean, they're on the front of the Monster Manual for a reason. What's the other creature on the front of the Monster Manual? Never mind. That's beside the point. Yeah. So next week, Beholders. If you don't know what a Beholder is, look it up.
Tune in next week.
Tune in next week. Exactly. Good call. But yeah, next week is Beholders. That's gonna be a super episode because we have to go through the Beholder, the Death Tyrant, and the Spectator on that. And they have. Let's see. It starts on page 25 and goes to page 30. They have a lot of pages on the Beholders.
Well, 26 to 30.
Oh, yeah, you're 26 to 30, so 4 pages. But they have more lore than any other creature that we have talked about yet.
I say we start with Spectator, then go Beholder, then go the big one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, that is Survival Check. That is your episode for this week. Thank you all for listening. That was our Behir episode. I hope you could take what we've talking about and use it in your own games. Kind of look at the Behir in a different way. I think they're really cool creatures. I think I say about every creature except the Inkeg. But other than that, thank you guys for listening as always. Let's plug some stuff and get out of here. Shayne.
Oh, hello. This is Shayne. You can catch me live at twitch.tv/bringthishayne. I have a variety stream and
a variety of Minecraft streams.
Hashtag less talky, more fighty.
Hashtag yep. Yeah, Anderson.
You can catch me Tuesday nights at twitch.tv/20 or die. And it's the 20, not spelt 20. 20 or die. We stream a Greek-based Odyssey D&D game. It's a 5e module called Odyssey of the Dragon Lords. It's fucking great. You should look it up if you're interested in that kind of setting.
Absolutely.
In the near future here on this channel, though, I'm going to be uploading the recording of the Icewind Dale campaign I'm running with a few friends of mine online. So expect that here in the next month or so to get started, and hopefully those will be a bi-weekly release as we play every other Monday.
Nice.
Next
I'm
session
excited.
is the 2nd of November.
I am excited because I'm excited to see how that adventure runs.
Pretty stoked.
And from what you've told me about it sounds like a fun party. Yeah. Tevis.
You can catch
No.
Tevis live at twitch.tv/Tevisar. That's 2 A's, 2 R's.
No.
No, just 2 R's. But I don't really
TEVISSAURR.
Correct.
Yar.
Yeah.
Yar. And as always, you can catch me, Zach, at twitch.tv/farmgoat. I'm also a variety streamer. I play more horror games, though. Play a lot of Minecraft, all the fun stuff. I'm still trying to figure out what day works. I want to run tabletop games on that stream. It is just difficult to figure out. So we'll let you guys know when that happens. But anyway, that's my stuff. If you want to check out the show stuff, our Instagram is Survival Check Show. Our Twitter is Survival Check. You can find our YouTube channel at the DM Survival Guide, and where you'll be able to find Survival Check underneath. That is where we upload all these episodes along with SoundCloud. Still trying to figure out what is the proper way of getting these onto podcasting services, so I'm still working on that. But yeah, that's it. Next week, Beholder, Halloween. Dude, it's gonna get spooky. It's gonna get spooky and weird. Weirder than it normally is, and it gets weird here. But anyway, as always, enjoy the spooky season. Be excellent to each other. And we are out of here.